Laugh out loud, it's the place to be, where geeky minds meet so naturally. From pixel legends to blockbuster heart, dive right in, let's set this vibe apart.
Hey!
It really is the place to be.
It is the place to be.
It is the place to be.
For all the geeky chicks want a piece of me.
Those are not the ones.
Hey man, geeky chicks be the ones that be getting down the most, man. Y'all come off that, man.
So we have tonight is a BM squared sort of. Unfortunately, Matt couldn't be here, but Barrett is here, which is always good, especially with the topic that's coming up, because we always love Barrett's opinion. And we have actually a surprise here, because I'm sure that you all know Tron. However, unfortunately, Tron, I sent a message out to Tron, and he has actually been partitioned to another sector. So Tron couldn't be with us. So we'd like to welcome Tron instead, sent his user. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to meet Tron's user, Alan, which is in no way associated with Tron. I have a feeling
this is like I don't know if you guys you used to watch wrestling, but like somebody will go away for a couple weeks and they come back as a different character.
Yes. Oh my God, yes.
I think Alan's into wrestling, so I think now you've got a wrestling buddy.
So I was up with wrestling until a point, but like until I stopped being into wrestling, I was really into wrestling. So
okay, so like my buddy worked for them.
Uh-huh.
And back in 2019, they still had the network, and they were editing for the network. They were getting ready for like some big initiative that they were doing the network 2.0. I think they were planning for. And what that did is that introduced chapter markers. So they needed to bring people on to make said chapter markers, and I was brought on, and I worked there for like 3 months doing all these chapter markers, and all of a sudden they sell the whole thing off to Peacock, and Peacock, the first thing they did was not the first thing they did, but it felt like the first thing they did was get rid of all the chapter markers.
Now, when you say chapter markers, what are you talking about?
Like if you're watching the pay-per-view and it's like, I don't want to watch the whole, like you're watching WrestleMania 3 and you just want to watch the Macho Man versus Ricky Steamboat. You can just like look through it and like it's already marked for you where that match.
Like those kind souls that put those summaries on those YouTube videos. That's God's work right there, man.
Yeah, so like it was that, and then like also like it would help with the algorithm too, because like if you're on the WWE network and you wanted to find that match, you could look for Randy Savage versus Ricky Steamboat, and it will bring the match up instead of like. Now it's like you bring it up and you put it in there. It's like I'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, okay, well, WrestleMania 3. Oh, here's WrestleMania 3, and I gotta watch like most of the show because you don't know where it is. You know, I don't remember exactly what match it was. I just remember that it's a reason to watch that show.
So, Alan, I'm going to need you to do me a favor. I'm going to need you to commit to the episode that we talk about wrestling, because when Ben talks about wrestling, I'm sitting there going, I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
Yeah, sure.
Alan,
sure.
Okay, so here's what I did. I put a compilation together of the better. Remember during the lockdown, did you watch any wrestling during lockdown?
No. So honestly, no. So let me preface this. Now, by the way, I appreciate wrestling. I ain't got nothing bad to say about wrestling. Well, some stuff, whatever. But no, I stopped watching wrestling when I was like 12. So this is like
okay.
This is like Stone Cold and The Rock were like doing their thing when I tapped out.
Okay, so during 2020, because of lockdown, they didn't let people into the arenas, and they started doing what they called cinematic matches.
Oh dear. Okay.
So I put a compilation of like 3 of these cinematic matches together, and I have it out there. This is just like on the back burner for when we're looking for topics, and I'm like, one of the ideas is to have Mike watch it so I can get the reaction from a non-wrestling fan to these cinematic matches. Now, literally, they go from best to worst.
Yeah.
So it gets worse as you continue.
I mean, but it's like, but it's like when wrestling gets you, it gets you. So I mean, that's all it is. So it's like, I can't.
Yeah, wrestling it's wrestling, it's from the carnivals, it's from the circus, and has a lot of that aspect because it's like it's everything.
Well, theater. Well, I've heard it called theater in the round.
Yeah. I mean, at one point there was one guy that did magic. Like the magic doesn't it doesn't last for long because once you do the spell one time, you can't keep doing it.
All right, so let me because we got to stay kind of on track because I know that Barrett has limited time. We got a couple things that we got to discuss, and then we got to get into our topic. I wanted to lay out our March schedule in case any of you guys hear something that might hit you and you might be interested. Let us know. And you guys are, even though you guys are BM. Okay, so we're not the BM squared anymore. We're now a BM squared, thanks to Alan. But we.
Why don't we become BAM?
No, we're ABM squared. We gotta say with the BM, bro. Okay. So here's what's coming up in March. So the first week of March is we're going to be talking about Should You Bother, watching Casablanca and Gods Must Be Crazy.
Oh, okay. Well, I've seen Casablanca.
Okay. So you're welcome to join us if you want.
I will always defend Casablanca's honor.
Second week is going to be Control C, Control V. So basically things that were, be it media, movies, games, music, shows, whatever. It worked the first time, so the creator decided they're just going to copy and paste it and vomit it up again. So a list of things like that and our opinions on them. The third week.
I don't know if I want to admit to watching that stuff. Anyway.
Third week is going to be the muskets in the snack aisle or movie candies or movie treats. Fourth week, we're going to be doing another Should You Bother in movies, which is going to be for My Fair Lady and the Korean movie My Sassy Girl. And then the last week is I'm hoping to do a BM squared, which is going to be the games that stick with you forever until the day you die, based off of something special about them, be it how their presentation or what happens.
When are we doing Cruel Intentions versus Dangerous Liaisons for same?
That's gonna have to push to April, bro.
Okay.
So I'm gonna start planning April, the middle of the month. So, but that's what we got coming up for March. Yeah. And if there's any Watch Us Dies, I'll let you guys know so that we can get together and play those, which actually we may talk about. So let me get. I want to throw something out here really quick. An issue that I'm having. If anyone hears this and they have any idea whatsoever what could do this, it's regarding musical equipment. I have a 100-watt crate amp here that bass amp. It's super weird. I plugged it in. Turned it up to even at a volume of 10. It's like I'm listening to a volume of 1. I took the bass, same cord, plugged it into guitar amp. The bass and cord are completely fine. Took the amp over to Matt's today. The amp was completely fine. Using the same bass, the volume was perfect. Brought it back to my house, and it's doing the same thing again. A volume of 1 and a volume of 10.
Where did you, when you bring it back to your house, Mike? Are you plugging it in the same place?
I plugged it in a couple outlets in my house in the same issue. But the thing is, the guitar amp that I'm plugging into the same outlet as I plug this in, and the guitar amp registers a bass just fine.
So that's in your house?
Yes.
So you have this bass amp, right? Is it what I'm hearing? And you plug it in your house, and it gets weird. You take it to other places, it plugged in fine. You bring it back to your house, and if you plug it into a guitar amp, then it works fine.
No, if I plug the bass amp into the outlet and use the same cord and same bass, it has a problem. If I pull the plug out and plug the guitar amp in the same outlet, same place, same exact location, the bass and the amp are just totally fine. And the cord's totally fine.
No, you say the bass and the amp are totally fine. So is there ever a situation where you can plug the bass in your house and it's okay?
So far I haven't found one.
Okay. Then.
But I mean, the bass works fine on the guitar amp.
No, so when you keep saying that, so what does that mean? Like, I'm not musically.
That means. So I have the bass amp that seems to have a problem. I have the guitar amp that seems to be fine. I use the same electric bass. I use the same chord. And when I take that same electric bass and same chord and plug in the guitar amp, the output for it is normal.
Oh, okay. So you take your guitar and you plug your guitar into the bass amp and you plug it into the guitar amp and it's fine on the guitar amp, but it's never fine coming out the bass amp. But you can plug it different. You plug
Exactly.
it in
But just to make it even weirder is I plug the guitar into the bass amp and the guitar goes perfectly fine.
Okay. So what I would think is it something in your amp? Because when you
But it's not, because when I took it over to Matt's and we use the same chord and bass,
electricity can be weird. So like maybe there's some. This is just possibilities. I'm not, but you know, like you got fades and stuff like that, and especially when you're dealing with like musical equipment. So I don't know how old your house is, how new your house is. It can go different ways. But if like electricity, like there could like be weird electricity things, and then because the electricity at your house is different in some way, it doesn't. That's the only time it registers. Because you're right. You take it somewhere else and stuff like that. But if you look at what's different and you identify everything, I would. I mean, in just guessing at it, I'd still say it would be something in the bass amp, but not something where it's like because you do phase stuff with electricity, and sometimes phases can clash and can cause weird stuff. So that's my
brother-in-law is actually an electrician, so I'm hoping to talk with him soon about it.
Well then, what he tells you will be infinitely more valuable than what I just said.
Well, I mean, no, it's a start. So I'm thinking it's got to be something to do with that.
Yeah, because like I would like, but yeah, I think there's something. I mean, and I may be wrong, but I think there's something in your bass. Either there's something in your bass that's weird, or there's something on the electricity in your house that's weird. And that's also, so it's probably good that you're talking to an electrician on that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, makes sense to me.
So crazy stuff. So let's knock out the save your money stuff. We got it in about 5 minutes. That's my goal, and then we can get into our topic.
All right.
So genre like gameplay, help save. You play whatever. I don't know. So let's talk about what's going to be.
We should have just had you on the phone calling that in.
Whatever. Hey, whatever. Here we go. So let's talk about. Let's start off with what's free this week, and we're going to start off, of course, with our favorite Epic Games. This week, that's free on Epic Games is Garden Story. So if you next time your mom says to eat your vegetables, just tell her that you're going to play with them. Because it's some sort of like RPG thing. I tried to look at this and it doesn't look like there's any fighting, so I don't know if it's really an RPG, but it says it's an RPG.
Like a visual novel, you fish and you gain experience and then you can like I
don't know. You make vegetables. You make more of yourself, I guess. So it's a breeding game.
You get skills and make stronger vegetables from the pieces. It's genetic engineering at a small scale, it looks like. I don't know.
It's free. Go get it. It looks like you get an ocarina, too. Go get it and tell us what it actually is. The other game that's free, and we may do... This might be the first time we do a game, different. And that would be World War Z Aftermath, which basically, if you don't have Amazon Prime and you're PO'd that you couldn't get Zombie Army 4, I don't know, get this, because it looks like it's pretty much the same thing. So maybe we'll take this up for a Watch Us Die or something. What do you think, Ben?
Sure, we can do a bunch of like these zombie games. Like, what if we just we did that? Like every time there was like a free zombie fighting game, we just did it.
Let's just do. Yeah, that sounds good to me. So that's all Epic Games. But what's coming up this Thursday on Epic Games that we know of is Mages of Mysteria. Mages of Mystery, and we don't know what this is. It looks like it's some sort of a gauntlet action type of game. So we'll find out what it is coming this Thursday. That's all we got for Epic Games. Next, we're going to go to Prime, and Prime did something interesting. I'm sure everyone's heard of this series. Prime is offering Wolfenstein Youngblood, which if you don't like fighting Nazi zombies like in Zombie Army, then just fight them as Nazis. So, and actually, I think this actually has zombies in it too, the Wolfenstein series. So this is probably another one of those, just like a World War or whatever. I don't care. You get the idea. But the good thing is that if you're not a PC person and you're about to go on strike with Prime because they're not representing you, you can also get Wolfenstein Youngblood free on Xbox as well too, as you can see. So if you're an Xbox player, congratulations, you now have got representation. Also free on Prime is Colt Canyon, which looks like some sort of a overhead shooter, role-playing adventure indie game. It's free. Try it out. You like Westerns? You might like this. But if you don't, it's free, so you can move on with your life. And also free is El Hijo, which is also a Western overhead shooter type game. So, this says it's a puzzle, so you got to figure out what it is. Also, we got free on Prime Gaming is Republic of Jungle, which this might be a Ben does it so you don't have to if you haven't played this. Because this looks like it's.
I claimed it. I didn't download it, but.
Oh, you did? Okay. Well, we'll probably still do a Ben does it that you don't have, or a Ben's review cauldron for this one, because I know this is kind of up your alley, where of course Beanie wasn't, but that's all good. Also, the last one that's free on Prime Gaming is Royal Romance Cursed Hearts, which is a point and click. So if you like clicking stuff randomly and hoping it does things, you'll probably like this. So that's everything for Prime Gaming, and there's just one bundle on Fanatical this time around, which actually is interesting because it's a build your own frenzy bundle. One game for $1. Or you can get 5 games for basically 60 cents each. So, if you see even just one game you want, which I could tell you right now, Ziggurat is just freaking awesome. But if you see even one game you want, it's only $1.
But you could just get them all. Get them all.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, how many are there?
How much would it cost?
6, 9,
can you put it together right now? How much would it cost to get all of them?
18 games, so
$9.
50 cents. So $5 for 10, so less than $10 to get all of them.
Yeah.
So go for it. So that's everything that's free and cheap. So hopefully something is to your fancy in that list.
It's like if you go through that list, if you find 9 games that you want, you might as well get all of them.
Exactly. You might as well get a 10th at that point and just take a gamble.
Yep.
So
somebody's like doing the math. It's like, no.
All right, so let's get into our topic so that we can start attacking it, because it's a pretty big one. What we're talking about tonight is our feelings on the following things: re-releases, remasters, remakes, collections, and additional content releases. Now, just to break them down really quick, I'm going to use one game series as an example that has done all of those. So re-release, this is when a company essentially re-releases a game, maybe with a quality of life or two, on probably a different system. For example, Resident Evil 4 was on GameCube. It then re-released.
Oh my God, Resident Evil 4 is like on everything.
Exactly, re-releases.
Listen, Resident Evil 4, GameCube was great. The Resident Evil remake was great.
Let's get back to let's talk about them in general in a second here. Remasters, when they pretty much are the same game but look a little prettier. So, for example, Resident Evil, the GameCube, was remastered onto PC in HD, yet it's still the same Resident Evil. Then we've got remakes. Remakes when they actually remake the game in a different way. For example, Resident Evil 2 on PlayStation 1. And then Resident Evil 2 goes to PC. It's a remake. It's still the same idea.
Mike, I literally thought you were going to stick with Resident Evil 4 through the whole thing, because they remade
also a fantastic remake, but okay.
So then we have releases with additional content. The example there is Resident Evil Code Veronica on Dreamcast. They then re-release that with additional content onto PlayStation 2 with, I guess, more story and everything. So same game, added bonuses. It's pre-DLC basically. And then finally, Collections, which is basically re-releases in a bundle. So for instance, Resident Evil, they decided to do a Resident Evil HD remaster and a Resident Evil 0 collection together. You could buy it just as one. So, and collections usually, not always though, usually add a little bit of bonuses like artwork or commentary or things like that to them. So that's a rundown of what each one is that we're going to talk about. So I want to start opening it up with re-releases. Let's discuss re-releases, your feelings on re-releases. And I'll let
Are you talking like greatest hits?
What's that?
Greatest hits, platinum.
Greatest hits would be a re-release.
Yeah.
This.
I mean, okay, so as a collector, I would imagine that a re-release would, like, especially if it's a greatest hits collection, would be something you don't want.
Which is kind of true.
Yeah, because you put it up on your shelf.
I would disagree with that. I would disagree with that. The problem with all of these is that all of these are things that can be implemented badly. So there are going to be. I'm waiting for Barrett, because I feel it in my soul that Barrett has something good to say. But all of these can be bad things. But I think the potential for good, and this is probably something dangerous to say in the world that we live in, but the potential for good means that I'm always gonna like them. Can they be implemented badly? Absolutely. But like you just said about the greatest hits stuff. Well, like the thing is that like, you know, like you guys were computer gamers, you have console gamers. I missed out on stuff, and the thing I like about re-releases is that if you miss it the first time, you can always go. Like, yeah, a lot of the stuff I couldn't get at. So like, because like now there's still like I've been very conscious ever since like GameCube about making sure I have physical copies of certain games. But I do like, yes, but I mean, they be cash strapped. So
GameCube's a perfect example of what I'm talking about, where for a collector not really liking it up on their shelf. If you get a greatest hits, or I forget what Nintendo called it, but if you get one of their greatest hits games, it's got that yellow banner.
Well, same with the PlayStation 1. I mean, that green banner was
PlayStation 2 is even worse because they do a red stripe instead of
I don't like. I guess like. The optics never really, because like it's the game. I want the freaking game.
Yeah.
So
no.
If you're somebody who's just looking the game, then it really doesn't matter. I'm just talking about like if you're somebody who it's more important what your shelf looks like than what the game looks like.
Okay. So hold on. So I'm going to say that I agree with both of you in a way. I would say re-releases out of all of these are the ones that bother me the least. I'm a collector and I'm also a game player. I don't like the green banner on the PlayStation games I have, but I appreciate that I got them cheaper. And I don't mind a re-release, especially like nowadays where it's digital, where I can just download it. But I mean, I don't want to go out and pay a big price tag to get that re-release.
And there's re-releases, most of them, like a lot of times the re-release, if there's a bug, you'll get a version where the bug is fixed.
Yeah.
But there's also...
But sometimes the bug was what was cool about the original, but whatever.
Yeah, that's true. Once in a while, they actually end up removing something.
I think someone's thinking of Juggernaut right now, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, when he says that. Right, Alan?
Yeah. Actually, I wasn't specifically thinking of that. But actually, with Marvel vs. Capcom 2, they kept most of the bugs. So it's like...
Yeah, because the fans did an outcry for it.
Yeah. No, they knew what was up.
And I mean, if you want to get in the nitty gritty of it, like the NES, there were like re-releases galore, but you never knew it unless you looked to see if it said Revision A on like the corner or something. And the biggest re-release though that happened on the NES, where they actually took something away, was when they lost the contract with Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But all of a sudden they had to re-release Punch-Out, and Mike Tyson's taken out of it. And yes, it's the same character and the same strategies work, even the same password, but it's not Mike Tyson.
It's not the same magic.
Yeah.
So it kind of like, so I'll give you that, but and I want to be clear. This is not a value statement. I am just stunned by this, and before anything else, I got to get this out. I am stunned that the consideration is how it looks on my shelf. I'm like, I was just happy to have a game. and it plays. But
No,
again,
you're right.
Well, but like in our digital world,
yeah.
if you're gonna buy physical now, you probably are buying it so it looks nice on your shelf.
I mean, I respectfully disagree,
But the thing is, Alan, it kind of makes it stand out like a sore thumb when you look at your
no,
collection.
and to be fair, I'm not saying, that's why I try to say, I'm not saying that it isn't a valid reason. It's just something I never thought about. Now that this has been, now I have to look at my own collection. I'm gonna go back in my room and look at my video games, and I'm gonna feel incomplete now because of you guys.
And well, the backwards thing is that I have Resident Evil Director's Cut Greatest Hit on PlayStation still.
Yeah.
And I look at it and I don't want to change it out for the actual Resident Evil one because I think I got used to that Greatest Hit sitting there.
Yeah, so I mean,
Well, also, like, and that was like one of the things when they did re-release it, they did add stuff to Resident Evil, so it wasn't like, oh, this is just the same game except it says Greatest Hits now. Like on like Final Fantasy.
Well, it's
you if you don't have Final Fantasy with a black stripe, you can save a lot of money getting
Hold on,
the Greatest Hits.
Ben, keep in mind you're going into additional content releases. now.
just
So you gotta be careful.
So,
We want to focus just on re-release as it is.
Yeah. But I guess yeah. No, I mean I've gotten a couple re-releases, and generally because it's a chance, because like there's so much stuff that I missed out on.
Dude, we haven't heard Barrett yet.
I was talking about like with the Greatest Hits when they did Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy VIII.
Yeah.
Like it's the same game, just.
Oh gosh, you're right. They did do that for those.
Yeah.
Oh gosh,
It was like, any game that sold over a certain amount.
Yeah, no, because they had that green banner. I completely forgot about that.
Yep.
And when you put it up on your shelf, you can.
I think my copy
Final
is
Fantasy.
I don't remember. I'm just happy to freaking have it. But anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm still waiting on Barrett.
Yeah. So I don't have a lot to say about re-releases from back in the day. The only thing I say is that I remember there were a bunch of times where it was an afterthought. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of times, like, there were like horrible bugs and stuff in some of the re-releases, especially when it was taken to a different console. Mm-hmm. Because maybe the company really cared for the original release, but the port to the other console that came out 3 years later, they're just kind of like meh. Yeah. And they farm it out to some small little outfit, and
it's the
so then like the PlayStation version of an Xbox game, for example, might have like horrible glitches in it, and or vice versa. So I say that
had to do with the fact that the PlayStation 3's processor was like very hard to program for.
Probably,
And also I
don't care. I don't care at all.
You just play.
I don't care. I get that they had a difficult job, but no, I don't care.
But a lot of this was Sony's hubris too, because
there it is.
When they released the PlayStation 3, it had like the highest price, and people were like stunned how expensive it was. Mm-hmm. But they're like, well, we rule this market. We could charge whatever we want for this machine, and people are going to pay it. And also the programmers, if they really want to program for it, which they're going to want to, we don't really need to give them any support. They're going to just learn on their own. And then all of a sudden, like, Xbox came out like $100 cheaper, and it came out a year before, and Sony was like taken aback, and then they had to go and release the Slim, and all of a sudden now they started offering better support to the developers. And
I mean, to be fair, there was a fair amount of PlayStation hubris that I did not appreciate. Love my PS. I actually need to fix my PS3 actually, but
PS3 is one of my favorite consoles. This was actually one of our older episodes. We went over like what our favorite system was from every generation, and like. And you would think it'd be the 360, but like no, the PlayStation 3. I still have a PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
I don't have a 360.
The hubris. Well, my 360. Well, I guess my 360 broke too, but I actually am gonna fix my PS3 though. Oh goodness.
Yeah. So now what I will say is I have some personal experience with a weird example of this in recent history. So y'all know Dead Space?
Ooh.
Classic series, very beloved. Then the guy who originally created it lost the IP. He ran out of money and was forced to sell it. Mm-hmm. And I guess he was salty this whole time. So then in secret, he developed a new game recently that just came out like, I don't know, like a year and a half ago or something like that. Mm-hmm. and I forget exactly what it was called, but it is basically almost the scene-for-scene remake of the original Dead Space.
Oh, damn.
Except that it is terrible in every single way. It is an abysmally awful game. It's broken. It's glitchy as fuck. The gameplay is shit. The only thing that's good about it is the graphics. The graphics are absolutely phenomenal. Best I've ever seen in any game.
So wait a minute. If I'm hearing you correctly, the man got salty because he lost the rights to his game, made a sequel or made whatever a Progeny remake, and it was terrible.
It was absolutely terrible.
Oh my god, that's horrible.
It's so broken. It's basically unplayable. It's a horrible mess.
It's like Kendrick Whiffin is what that is. That's what that is.
But then it gets even weirder because the company who bought the rights to the IP and had sat on it for years doing nothing, right?
Yeah.
They then came out with a official remake of Dead Space 1.
Oh no, I played that game. I own it. I'm not done with it yet. I love that game. Anyway,
so in the official remake, they came out with, I think, like within a month of each other.
Oh, that's like Dave Chappelle haters ball or whatever, and you just lost. Oh gosh,
it's like, so weird. And then then the other thing too that was weird to me was you have, first of all, that right, like obviously the beef, right?
Yeah.
But then you've got how the one made by the original guy is terrible in every single way, except graphics are the best ever.
Yeah.
Then the official remake has not that good of graphics. I mean, they're not bad, but they're like they're nowhere near as good as the salty remake, right?
Yeah.
And so obviously, if that guy could do that well, the official company with all their resources could have done better, right? They did kind of a half-ass like graphics uplift for it instead of rebuilding it in a new engine. But everything else about it is great. Like gameplay's great, story's great. Like
and maybe I'm like a little bit too much like Oliver Twist with this, but like because we talk about remakes and updates and stuff, and a lot of times I'm just happy to have something, like just an inch better. But anyway,
yeah. Well, and I could get it for the one, but if you had played the one. The Revenge one made by the original creator guy, you would not be happy for that. No one loves that game. That game is terrible.
No, so
tell us how you really feel.
Yeah, like I feel like
that's
PC. If you played this game, it would make you so angry you would take your keyboard and you break it over your PC.
Oh my gosh.
See now Barrett's becoming more Barrett. He was being nice before.
That's hard. I mean, like, that's like a generational L, man. Ugh, it's horrible. How you go hate and fail? Anyway.
Yeah, seriously. Like, he's the original guy. Like, how can he make a shittier version of his own thing? And then the people who bought the IP from him do a better job.
That's like the Luka Doncic trade, but he like started sucking.
This is still like it's still more of a it's more of a remake than a re-release, though.
I mean, kind of.
I guess,
but I felt it belonged in this category. I was going to save it for later, but I felt it belonged more in this category because neither party really added anything to it. So it's basically the same experience.
Well, Mike mentioned Resident Evil 2, and I have the remake of Resident Evil 2 along with the original, and they're both the same game beat for beat. Just the graphics are nicer.
No, dude, they're pretty freaking different, dude.
I thought it was the remake. It felt the same.
The remake. No, you didn't. No, you didn't get the Tyrant till that Resident Evil 2 Tyrant gave me nightmares. It actually had one of the most heartwarming moments with my grandfather too. But how did those two stick together? But no, Resident Evil 2, you didn't get that Tyrant until the second scenario. But in that, when you played it, I think did it? Well, anyway, it was different enough.
You got it really early, and even the way you got into the police department. I mean, it was different. It was clearly for someone who played as much of the Resident Evil 2 was really only. Well, I played a bunch of them, but Resident Evil 2 was my game, and that's the scariest game I played the most of. Just for having played that experience, that remake was just god. Yeah, even the beginning where you start in the at the gas station, you don't even do that in the first one. You skip the whole like going through Kendo's weapon shop.
But then you
into,
go,
like, middle of it.
but then you can go back around in the middle of it. So I love the way they did that, though. So,
Yeah.
oh,
So let me make something kind of clear here. Is we have these categories, but then there's also the Barrett category, and the Barrett category fits in whatever he feels it fits in.
now, yeah. Barrett, the rules of the I once described Barrett is that there are those who there are those that study the way, and Barrett just is the way. So like reality just conforms to his thoughts because he just naturally adheres to what is right and proper.
So with that, is there anything else you want to say about re-releases before we move to the next one?
I think we didn't bleed it over enough. Yeah, we need the next one. But.
All right, so let's go to remasters, which is basically when the game's basically the same, but it looks prettier. And
I thought that was part of this category. I didn't realize you separated that. And
yeah, but I mean, but it was good transition. So it was the last one, and that was the first remaster. But I appreciate the categories, by the way.
I do too. I appreciate them too. I was just not clear on it.
No, that's fine. It's all good.
But again, but like I said, but Bear just adheres to the way because he didn't give us the last. He gave us the first remaster. See, so he was just there. Right.
I mean, now for a remaster, I think the one that kind of sets the bar would probably be when they remastered Super Mario Brothers than they did for Super Nintendo. Super Mario All Stars.
Ooh.
I'm not saying it's the best, but I'm saying that kind of sets like this is what we're expecting. We're expecting
but also you're also treading on something dangerous there because that's going into a collection. So
no, but I would stand on business and say the man is correct. That is a remaster.
It's technically the remaster of all of them. But
yeah, they didn't call it that, but that's what it was. That's exactly what that was.
Yeah, because like the only thing that I've ever heard complaints about, and I personally feel the same way, is I feel the 8-bit version of Mario 1 feels better.
Yes.
But other than that, I'd play Mario 2 and 3. I'll play the remastered Super Nintendo version.
Oh my God, that was such a good game. Oh
yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Ooh. I wasn't prepared for that. God, that hit me in the fields, man. Dropping knowledge, man. Dang.
I mean, there's a weird remake of like the original Legend of Zelda that came out for Super Nintendo, but only in Japan and only if you had like the satellite service.
Oh yeah, I hate those. Yeah.
Which you can download. You can download it now, but it's like
that is actually the entire reason I learned Japanese was for shit like that.
Which is BS.
It
is BS.
I love my life.
I'm telling the truth. So
I love my life. I love the language. Why y'all hate?
So no. It's just BS, dude.
Oh, no. Yes.
Legend of Zelda BS.
I'm mistaken. I'm going to get defensive. Yes, that is horrible. I had to learn Japanese because of that shit. Anyway,
I want to jump in here and
there's no rules on swearing here, so we're not going to say yes. We're just going to say bullshit. So,
sorry. so I'm going to jump in here for a second on remasters, and I'm going to say that for remaster for me, no thanks, because to me a remaster feels like we didn't feel like changing it, but we know it's archaic, so let's just make it prettier and charge it more money than would
Mario All Stars, and I'm not going to disagree with you.
Let's use the same two systems, and we'll show an example of a bad remake.
Oh yeah, but I'm saying Mario All Stars is worth
Gaiden Trilogy.
Oh,
the remakes of the Ninja Gaiden games they just destroyed them.
But now wait, which systems are we talking about?
It's on Super Nintendo, but they also released it for TurboGrafx. They did a Ninja Gaiden that was based on the NES version, and that one is also not as good as the NES version. And it's the same game. It's just the graphics, the timing gets screwed up. The graphics
when Mario All Stars goes wrong.
Yeah, and like the TurboGrafx version, they have this scrolling background that if you pay attention to it, which you're going to because it's very distracting, it's also going to give you a headache. It's like you're moving 1 mile an hour and the background's going 100.
Yeah, remember back when them seizures was a thing, and then game was so good it'd give you a seizure. Oh God,
I mean, we kind of. I mean, I want to go back on re-releases for just a second. We didn't talk about the Virtual Console.
Yeah, well, the Virtual Console is basically a re-release.
Yeah, the Virtual Console where they took these Nintendo games and like in Zelda 2, there was a flashing red screen. They got rid of it because people were having seizures.
Okay.
You know, and also they threw seizure warnings on some of the games. And you know, like today you go on Disney Plus and they tell you that, well, this movie was released back when people didn't know any better. You know,
and as much about it's funny because, you know, because I'm like a little ghetto kid and disregard stuff, but I took that stuff seriously because, like, well, I didn't take that stuff seriously until 10th grade, where a friend of mine had like a seizure. And I was like, oh crap, no, we can't be having people do this.
Yeah, because you like if it doesn't affect you, you're like, right? You know, I don't care if there's flashing lights, but then like, yeah.
So anyway, but
yeah.
I remember that Ninja Gaiden trilogy, and that was lacking. The Nintendo ones were better.
Yeah, there's like I mean, I'm sure there's a lot more examples of Nintendo NES 8-bit games that got re-released on Super Nintendo where they kind of dropped the ball.
Honestly, most of them I liked because they did a lot. Because there was one of my favorite games was Baseball Simulator 1000.
Mm-hmm.
Now, well, no, you're right. The Nintendo version was better. No.
But how about the Neo Geo version though? They called it a different game, but they called it a different name, but it was the same game.
Oh, I didn't know about the Neo Geo. But,
yeah, I forget what the name of it is. Like the rules are a little different, but it's the same thing. You're playing baseball in the future, and the rules of baseball are slightly different.
Oh gosh, I got that game. I got the game when I was in the projects. I bought that from one of my dudes. Anyway, whatever. I love that game. It was weird how I got it. Anyway.
Well, a lot of these the remasters are basically nowadays just HD remasters, which I mean I can tell the difference, but when I'm playing it, I can't tell the difference because I get enough into it that I can see what it looks like. And you
know who's the king of it is Sony.
Yeah, no, the Final Fantasy remasters.
When the PlayStation 3 was out and they did the slim version and they took away the backwards compatibility with the PlayStation 2, all of a sudden Sony released like, and with partners, because not all the games were Sony exclusive titles, but they released a collection of like 20 or so HD collections, and they were just PlayStation 2 games in high definition, where you would get like 3 games on one disc, and like, yeah, that was just like,
And again, most of the time that would piss me off, except for situations where I kind of got something that I wanted to get anyway. So it's like enough examples. Like I feel like it's misused, but
yeah, like they had like the Splinter Cell collection, and they had like the Hitman collection, and also Sony exclusive titles. They had like God of War, and then
and actually God of War is a perfect one because I think I got one of the God of Wars, and I was like, well, I never like there was good games, and now they're right here, and so just put that on the shelf, and then.
But I mean, would you guys prefer the game to actually be remastered or just re-released?
Well, it depends on what they do with the remastering. Yeah. If they make it where there's certain like okay, now it's in high definition, and when the game was originally released, everybody complained about this one thing, so they change it up a little bit to make it less annoying, or something like that. Like when you're playing the Mega Man collection, for instance, you can use the bumpers to cycle through your weapons instead of having to hit start and pick a new weapon.
But. Oh, well, you did say collections, but I guess it's technically collections would be a re-release, but yeah, still okay.
Well, actually, if we're staying strict to the collections rule, when it was re-released on the PlayStation 1, but only in Japan, they did the same thing.
Man. For me, when I look at remasters, I mean, it just seems like they're upping it because they want to up the price also on it too.
Yeah,
which is understandable because they're doing a lot of work on making it look nicer. But to me, looking nice versus playing good, I'm going to go to playing good every time.
And honestly, I do think that there have been some HD remasters where it's not worth it because it's like the coolest thing that I miss the most about like the PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 era, really PlayStation 1 is that when you had those games where it's like, even if you had like super graphics, like aesthetically it still worked. Because I've I've seen a couple of HD remasters. Like, why did they do that? Like, you're just adding more stuff in here. Like, the game is fine. Like, I really, that's what I miss about older games, because you had games that were just right at the limit of where the graphics need to be. So,
Yeah.
So I jump in on here. So
Okay.
I just had a thought, and I don't know whether this is much of a thing or not, but I was learning the other day about how there's some issues with a lot of games because of how back in the day they would do subtle things because they knew that, like, all you have is CRTs, right?
yes.
Because of the way CRTs behave. They had very subtle ways in which they program it, but also like the way they design the sprites and shit so that it would work well on a CRT.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I imagine that there could be at least a market, if it doesn't already exist, for remasters where they don't change anything. They try to keep the gameplay faithful, but they do slight tweaks, maybe fucking with the graphics a little bit or something. So at least it doesn't look like dog shit on a flat screen.
Well, what's interesting is that when you think about the Marvelverse 2, even though we're kind of talking about collections, like, if you look at like a lot of like some of these collections I've done is they add like the TV filters on there, but honestly it still looks like shit on the monitor to me though. But I feel like that's them trying to like kind of get back to that, because so much stuff about CRTs where we're like, you were literally like, because of the technology you had to do it a certain way, and like light gun game, like zappers don't work anymore and stuff.
Bye Duck Hunt.
And that's why, like, they, Mike, when we were talking about this last week with the retro tanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like when they have like devices like the retro tank and stuff. That's like for older systems to handle the thing of like, okay, the CRT used to have this effect, and we have to figure out how to make that work on a modern TV.
Yeah.
Like the dithering effect on Sonic the Hedgehog.
Mm.
Oh, we want to talk about re-releases. We're going back on this for a second, but
That's fine.
they did the Sonic Mega or the Sonic Gems collection. I forget what it was called, but it was on the Sega Saturn.
Oh.
What was the collection called, Mike? Do you remember?
It was a collection, so we had.
I was just thinking I wouldn't have bought that, but if it had been for the Saturn, I would have got that. Anyway.
And yeah, like this, it was the way the games played, people always thought that it was just running a Genesis emulator. They literally took all those games and recoded them for the Sega Saturn.
So I love the Saturn.
And that was why they were able to introduce the Spin Dash into Sonic the Hedgehog 1, because they were ripping the code apart anyways. So.
Oh, they put the Spin Dash in Sonic 1?
Yeah, that's like the first time the Spin Dash shows up in Sonic 1.
You know, I would normally argue for purity and stuff like that, but I support that in that game.
Well, Sonic 1 was like, the way it was released was more for exploring than it was for what people wanted, which was speed, which is what they sold the game on.
Yeah.
The side-by-side comparison in that one commercial where they're showing it against Super Mario World, and it's like, oh, Super Mario World, look at all the colors, and the guy's like, I don't know.
Well, it was
like Sonic
because I played Sonic 2 first.
Yeah.
And then I went
which
back.
Is the better game.
Yeah. No. Well. Yeah. And when I went back and played Sonic 1, I just got used to having to press down to get into a ball. So I just kind of like, I missed the spin dash, but I always just kind of just rolled. So it was kind of dexterous, but all Sonic 2 was fantastic.
So you're saying like you kept trying to do the spin dash over?
No. I couldn't do the spin dash, but I knew I wanted to like roll into a ball. So I remember how Sonic 1 was that you press down while you were moving forward, he would roll into a ball.
Oh yeah.
So that was like my way, because I still wanted to because I still want to play it like Sonic 2. And if you were into a ball, you could like damage some stuff and things like that. So I just always ran and then turned into a ball.
Did anybody else, when they play Sonic 2, do you go into the options and turn off Tails? Anybody else?
Well, no, I love Tails. Sometimes I play as Tails. Anyway.
Oh, I can't stand it. This little kid followed me around, and every time he
well, and I remember if you had a second controller, like me and my buddy, the second controller.
Yeah, that was the only time you would want it on, is if there was somebody else playing with you.
I love Tails.
Tails was actually put in for little brothers.
Oh, nice.
So.
All right. So, anything else on remasters, or shall we move on?
Yeah, we're at remaster. Yeah, I mean, it's like they're like. Some of them are cash grabs, but I mean, the good ones are nice out there. But I hate the cash grabs.
Yeah, 100% agree. All right, so Remakes, and I actually want to start this one off.
Is it going to be a bad one?
I'm actually gonna thank the developers. Any developer that does a remake, I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, because thanks to you, you just gave me a jumping point off of your series. Final Fantasy VII is a good example of a remake. I will never touch it, and I'm happy that I still have the.
It wasn't made for you, okay?
It was not, and most remakes aren't, because I like that old style. And when it comes to the remake and it's all redone, it's not that old style, and it loses that magic that the old style has. Now, I will say I did play Resident Evil 2, 3, and 4 remake, and those weren't bad. But it's kind of like I wanted something to have on Steam, so there wasn't really a choice for Resident Evil 2 or 3 on Steam. And 4, the original sucked anyways. And yes, I said the original sucked anyways. I didn't mind the remake, but any other remakes, I just feel like I get disappointed, because I know the game so well and I know the style so well, and now you want to give it to me in a different way, and I don't want that.
I mean, everybody, some people say cucumber tastes better pickled, so it's just whatever.
You say tomato, I say you just screwed it up.
And I'm sitting over enjoying my meal.
All right, so I'm done with my rant. You guys can go at remakes now.
I mean, saying like they're good. Like some stuff, I do work. Like I do hate. Like I do think like, oh my gosh, they're just trying to remake everything. But it's like that's just the American way. How many death wishes did we love sequels and stuff like that? And it's a way. It's a way to extend the sequel with some sort of thing in there. Although, just like everything else, it can be done in a bad way.
There's again, Sony is like the most guilty, I think, of remakes, because they remake everything that was exclusively theirs.
Like why is the Last of Us remade? I don't understand that.
They did that was another one where Mike could have used as an example for what did everything would be The Last of Us, because they did The Last of Us came out on PlayStation 3, and then they did a remaster on PlayStation 4, and then they did a remake, I think, for PlayStation 5.
I think that may have been even PS4. I don't know, but it just maybe I don't know. I was so disgusted by that.
It's like multiple versions of the same game that are pretty much released on the same console, and it's like they're slightly better. And I'm like,
that's some huevos right there, boy. That's what that is.
I have like the remaster of it for PlayStation 4.
Bless you.
Excuse me.
Bless you again.
PlayStation 4, and I'm like, I have no interest in. Because they said like the remaster, it's the same game. They just moved a few things around. I'm like, it's gonna give you some replay value. But
what's actually funny about The Last of Us is I played 20 minutes of it on PS3, didn't like it, and stopped. So
you like Uncharted? It's the same engine.
Yeah, I bought the Uncharted collection for PS3 or PS4, I think maybe. And I played through the first one, and Uncharted, I kind of like I like Tomb Raider. I actually really like the Tomb Raider remakes, so I actually do really like those. Those I enjoyed. So to kind of go back to that, but I guess just like I like some of like the Naughty Dog stuff, but I feel like the Drake stuff. I mean, and I don't want to. People love Uncharted, so I ain't trying to do no hate or nothing like that. But Uncharted to me felt like playing a visual novel.
Yeah, it kind of was. Like you're just going like the fight.
Yeah, and I mean it was a cool story and stuff like that.
You get all the chances in the world. There's unlimited continues.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a cool experience, but it just like, especially since I came back to it later and stuff like that. But
did you play through all of them?
No, I only played through the first one.
Oh, okay.
And then the Tomb Raider remake, but I played Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3. And the Tomb Raider remake, I love those. I just never finished them.
If anybody listening, if you've ever played through all the Uncharted games, at the end they play a PlayStation 1 classic. You can play the first level of this PlayStation 1 classic. What game that you get to play at the end of the last Uncharted game. And I'm talking about Uncharted with Drake, not the spinoff. So if you know that, put it down in the comments. And
It's Pepsi Man.
yes, Pepsi Man. See, Mike played it, so he knows.
Yeah. I didn't know that at all. Oh,
It's not Pepsi Man.
See, I'm gullible. I'm like, I ain't even know, so
It's a PlayStation Classic that's released by the same company or by the same it was done by the same developers.
Naughty Dogs. That's got to be like Crash Bandicoot or something.
All right. Well, so much for the comment section.
Oh shit, that was it.
Yeah.
That's
fuck. Okay.
That's what I was actually going to mention, just as a joke, but then I decided to go with Pepsi Man.
Gosh, I'm sorry.
Yes, the very end of the game, Drake and his wife now are like cuddled up on the couch, and they're going to compete against each other in a video game, and it's the first level of Crash Bandicoot.
Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah. In fact, I think if you don't die, you actually can play through the whole game.
Oh, dang.
I think. Well, it's a PlayStation 1 game. It's like you can play.
Yeah, but that's still a flex. I actually do like that in games, like where they'll stick. I like the meta idea of like games and stuff. So that's cool.
Watch, we're gonna have somebody in the comment section be like Crash Bandicoot, and then 5 seconds later, be like, "Oh, you guys ruined it."
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I was just spitballing, but interesting.
It's like there was a guy on Twitter. He's like, "I'm reading through the Bible, and I'm so bummed my favorite character just died." Like, "Oh, dude, he came back."
Oh my gosh! You know, well then he comes back again at the end, and we'll see how we feel about that.
He came back.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting for Barrett here. I know it's out there.
I think you're waiting for Jesus.
Yeah. Well, so I don't have.
So
Yeah. I don't have a lot of experience with like full on remakes, you know, where they're like doing it and it's all different and they change a bunch of stuff. I can see that there's, like Alan was saying, I'll parrot his thing that, you know, there could be a danger of screwing it up, losing what was good about it in the first place.
Oh, that happens a lot too.
Well, actually, so what's funny is that even though we've already kind of passed this, I wanted to talk about this, but I forgot. Ninja Gaiden, because they just released like Ninja Gaiden Black, and they can keep that shit as far as I'm concerned. Like, because I bought Ninja Gaiden Sigma when it came out. I bought the collection when it came out because I love the first the Xbox Ninja Gaiden. Let me talk about the ones I'm talking about too. The Xbox Ninja Gaiden. Loved the first game. Played the second one quick because it was too hard. But
it's a complete remake though, because it's a different game.
Well, but what I'm saying is that they remade the remakes. So you have like Ninja. So I'm talking about Ninja Gaiden for Xbox.
It's
and
like
then
nothing's safe anymore.
Yeah, no, like and what's funny about this is because people on the internet was talking about they just released Ninja Gaiden Black or something, Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, and so it's crazy because what they did was like I like the version that I got Sigma because I went back and looked at it because I do love the remade Ninja Gaiden series with Xbox, and I went back and I looked at it and I was looking at the Ninja Gaiden Black 2 stuff. And it was like they took some stuff away and tweaked some stuff, and it's just like, and I'm thinking like, you've already released like this was supposed to be the Master Collection when it came out. Now you went back and tweaked it, so it is that thing about like kind of like what George Lucas did with the Star Wars movies when he went back and added shit.
Oh, the special editions.
Yeah, special editions and stuff. So like I like the it's crazy because but that's what I'm saying where it's like as much as that's a game that I love, but I do feel like they were tweaking with it too much. But I don't know. Ninja Gaiden 2 was also really, really freaking hard. So like I'm not gonna like knock that part about it. So I don't know.
Yeah. So then I would say that like sometimes I think it's like I wonder why even do it. Like there's that, but I'm struggling to think of an example of it. So I guess maybe the one main example I'll say that I have very mixed feelings about is the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Because that one was so different. It was essentially a brand new game. that bore almost no resemblance to the original. Now, that said, though, I don't like the original all that much. I don't think it's the best game that they ever did.
Wait, but you're saying it's not the greatest game ever created in the history of man?
Yeah.
I mean, like, listen, man. I'm one of them people.
Absolutely.
I'm recovering. You can't be. Anyway. No.
But on the other hand, I like what they did with the 7 remake better. Like, if I had never played the original one and all I had ever seen was this remake, I would like it.
Oh, dang.
I wouldn't love it, but I kind of like it all right.
Like,
you know, the action heavy gameplay and whatnot, and the targeting system. I was like, okay, I can kind of get behind that.
You know what, Barrett? You're right. I hate games where you have to figure out what to do next, and they just kind of like hold your hand. Isn't that hold your hand? All the new games all hold your hand now.
Yeah, but I also feel like sometimes with these things, it's like, just call it something else. Mm-hmm. Like, it's such a departure from everything in Final Fantasy. Not just 7, but like literally any other game they've ever made.
Well, it's like, that's like my whole argument with the Phantom Menace. It's like, if it was just called the Phantom Menace and it wasn't a Star Wars movie, people probably would have really liked it.
Well, so actually, I think you guys put two sides of the same argument, because actually, for what Barrett was saying about Final Fantasy VII, like the remake, because honestly, like, and again, I'm not indicative of everybody. What I think about it was, in that situation, what I believe the Final Fantasy VII attachment helps like promote it. But it's funny because, like, with the Phantom Menace, I feel like the Star Wars, while it was supposed to promote, that almost made it worse. Because, like, if it was just its own movie, it'd be like, whatever.
Yeah, but it was just a movie about, like, they find this magical kid, and at the same time, they got to go fight off, like, and, like, if it was just, like, its own thing, a standalone thing where...
Yeah. So
that's where it's all about the money. I mean, you have an established title at this point. You can take a mediocre game like Crap Stains of Paradise style. Sorry, Alan, I had to say that. And adapt it to now a big name game that everybody's wanting to come back and just rake in the cash.
For what it's worth, you will not offend me with Stranger Paradise slander. I will say that I love that game, but by no means am I saying that that is a good game. I'm not saying it's a good game either. I ain't saying nothing about it. But
hey, Alan,
when I was talking,
sucks.
When I was talking about Sea Dogs, how many months
sucks too.
Like Sea Dogs, I love the Sea Dogs game, and then like they're planning a sequel, and between them planning the sequel and the sequel coming out, they get the Disney license for Pirates of the Caribbean. So all of a sudden the game gets pushed back, so they could just, they could Disneyize it, and ended up ruining the game because they threw so much in there that the thing couldn't like run properly on systems it was being sold for. Mm-hmm. Like if you're releasing a game on the Xbox, it shouldn't have slowdown.
Yeah. And that's and that's the thing that I really like. I love, like, don't get me wrong, I love like graphics, but that's why I like the Sega Saturn Dreamcast era, because like I feel like those were the best examples of like when the graphics, like PlayStation, yes, because I remember one thing, like I remember Legend of Dragoon for PS1. And I came back to that late, and I wish I had played that at the time, because like when I went back to it, the graphics were so blocky I couldn't tell what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
But like,
fantastic
game. So you're playing a game on the PlayStation 1, and this is a PlayStation 1 exclusive title, and it played slow.
Well, no, not that it played slow. Visually, I couldn't tell because I didn't play Legend of Dragoon PS1 until the PS2 was out.
Because you're not using CRT TV, so it's not smoothing those jaggies out. So it looks like big blocks of crap everywhere.
I was using CRTVs because I was that guy. The game just looked like ass. I will like, and it like, and had I been like, because like the PS1, I think the Saturn did it better. Now there's comments. Somebody might come after me for this. But you know what? I'm a big guy. I'll take the smoke. But as far as I understand it, and I might be wrong, I feel like the Saturn and Dreamcast did it better. But for PS1, I feel like there were these classic games that they were just doing 3D but a lot of that early stuff was and it's like when I went to saw better stuff, I came back and I couldn't realize anymore. Had that been the first thing I'd seen, I would have processed it differently. That's I feel like Legend of Dragoon was that for me because if it had just been a PS1 game and I got it, I had never seen 3D before, I would register what I was seeing better. But having seen other stuff, I just couldn't. Like I could recognize what was going on, but it bugged me. Fantastic game though. So,
Alan, Legend of Dragoon sucks.
I mean, I liked it. I didn't finish it, but
well, I know it's a big one.
You didn't
I
finish
didn't
it
get
because
far
it
into
sucks.
I mean, yeah. So, I mean that I can't. You know, I mean, I'm not gonna fight on that hill for Legend of Dragoon. I enjoy it. I'd like to beat it one day. But.
And on that note, I want to mention that Xenogears also sucks too.
Hey, bro, again, I can't. You know, I don't have the. I've been saving that one. I actually got to figure out how I'm gonna.
I
play
die
that.
on that hill, dude. That game, Xenogears, amazing.
Yeah. So
Alan, all your favorite games, they all suck.
No,
it only works if you pick one.
Oh, okay.
It only works if
Xenogears, because I wanted to play Tekken while I was playing a Final Fantasy.
Yes, and that sounds fantastic.
Tekken sucks too, by the way. I just had to get that out there. So if Tekken sucks, then Xenogears sucks.
Fantastic. Yeah. So and again, we've talked about something that Barrett. I never thought I'd hear Barrett talk about liking anything in the Final Fantasy VII universe. And apparently, I might have to go play Xenogears tonight. I'm not.
You could have stopped that sentence on. You never thought you'd hear Barrett liking anything, and then just.
I tried to. Barrett likes stuff. Some things.
Yeah.
You can tell when Barrett likes it because he says, "Well, I don't hate it."
Yeah, no. Well, but that's what I'm saying. Though he actually That's what I'm saying. Y'all wasn't listening. He actually said the word "like" that came out of his mouth. Like I was sitting here. I was like, I'm not gonna make a big deal of it. I'm not gonna make a big deal of it. But it's been like 15 minutes now. F it. Shoot.
Well, no. I mean, you guys talk about the Final Fantasy VII Remake?
Yes.
No. I want to be sure. Like, I meant comparatively. Like, I don't like it that much.
Bro.
And for the same reason that Ben said.
I will take it comparatively. I will take that to the bank happily.
Yeah, because I do agree with what Ben said that they oversimplified the gameplay.
Comparatively, a comparative man.
But I like it better than the original because I really hated the original.
Well, it's like
really
so like a modern day game where they get the open world thing correct. I think is like the new Legend of Zelda games.
Oh.
Okay.
Where your experience and my experience, even if we both complete the game, are completely different.
Let's start calling Ben the Sage or whatever, man. My man is just dropping knowledge, man.
And that's like what an awesome thing about those games. It's like my guy is gonna have. Yeah, I'm going to go through a different experience. Like, I have a house built in my game, which if you go through the whole game, you eventually do get a plot of land to put a house up. And I got a picture, and it's me and, like, one of the characters because he was, like, my favorite one. Like, did you play the new Legend of Zelda where you have, like, you collect the spirits and they help you?
No, I'm still stuck on Breath of the Wild.
Oh, okay. Well, the new one, you collect, like, spirits who help you while you're fighting. Mm-hmm. And one of them you get is this bird. And he is like the best one of the protective spirits. So when I got my house and I found out that you could put a picture up in your house, I found him, the actual him, not the spirit, but the actual thing the spirit's based off of. And I took a picture of the two of us together, and it's hanging up on my wall in the house there. And I'm like, yeah, it's I forget it, Tulin, that's his name. Like, Tulin, man, he's my boy. I love that kid.
The way you're describing it, Ben, that reminds me of the fact that the Legend of Zelda series sucks, except for the first one.
Now listen. Now you just put.
I'm actually serious when I say that. I honestly, okay, I'll take the hate for this. I don't like any Legend of Zeldas except for the first one.
Okay.
Alan, I just want to let you know that. Okay, so. This goes out to anybody. If you are interested in playing Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, you have to play them in order. Because once you play Tears of the Kingdom, you will not want to go back to Breath of the Wild.
All right, that's what I kind of figured. So I'm still sitting on So
Yeah, I mean the
but
maps are the same. Like it's the same high roll.
yeah, but Breath of the Wild is so good, and I know that Tears of the Kingdom is probably good too. It was, I mean, it is good, but
Yeah, they took everything that was good about Breath of the Wild and then just built on it.
like, listen, man, you're allowed to well, honestly, what's gonna save your butt is probably the first one. So you can always go back to the retro, but you cannot be sitting out here slandering the entire.
I can because the first one is the exception.
The first one.
First one
comparative like. I'm gonna run with that.
The first one is a completely different game than any other Legend of Zelda in the whole series, and the first one does everything that it needs to right. Whereas after that, it doesn't capture what made the first one so good.
The Adventure of Link was its own thing, so I'll leave that. But A Link to the Past is just one of the greatest games of all time.
So let me break it down for you.
It is one of the.
Let me break it down for you. What makes the first one so great that none of them ever realize capture? They're not even going to capture it because the first.
I need to drink this. All right.
When you're playing Legend of Zelda, you're actually playing two types of games at once. You're playing a top-down shooter and you're playing a hack and slash. When you have full hearts, you handle it like a top-down shooter. You keep your distance. You plan your location so that you're not getting hit by them. The moment you get hit, the game flips automatically to a close-up hack and slash, and now you're going on a frantic attack, trying to take everything out as quick as possible in hopes that you can get that heart so that you can flip the game back to the top-down shooter. No other Legend of Zelda has actually captured that.
First of all, in A Link to the Past, it's been a hallmark of all Legends of Zelda. Well, no, I'm not going to say all of them, but I'll at least say A Link to the Past as well. I don't think about it as a top-down shooter. All I think about it is it's a hack and slash where I get to throw my sword. And later in The Link to the Past, when you get the Master Sword and you fill up, you throw energy with your sword. That's just a series mechanic that they kept into the iteration. Sure, it plays like a top-down shooter, but you're playing it on Nintendo. It's a hack and slash where you can just. I get what you're saying with a top-down shooter, but it's a hack and slash where you just throw your sword. That's all it is, and you get the energy in the later ones too. So they keep it. It's just literally a graphical upgrade.
So I think Barrett had to go, unfortunately.
Oh, dang, yeah.
So just wanted to announce that one.
Yeah.
So darn.
But yeah.
But
so
now the real show could start. I called this meeting of the Barrett hating party to.
Barrett hating party. Yeah. Yeah. No, top down shooter. My foot.
Go back and try playing it and watch how you maneuver yourself.
No, I'm not like. I don't look at. See, I look at it. It's it really is a tomato thing. Like I see it as it's just a top and down shooter. It's just a hack and slash where you can throw your sword. That's all. Like I don't see the I don't see the genre difference there, especially. When you get a similar ability in Link to the Past because you throw energy with it.
But you don't get that until the end of the game. And that's the thing. You have this from out the door.
You get it in like the middle of the game because you get it when you get the Master Sword, I believe, right? Yeah. So but I'd still make the argument that again it doesn't put it as a different genre. It's just part of the same genre, especially for like a Nintendo game. If you're making the genre argument, I'd probably maybe pay attention to that at Super Nintendo. But thematically, there's not that difference between Super Mario, Galaga, Galaga, Space Invaders and stuff like that. You have a sprite and you interact with the stuff. So I wouldn't make the definition between hack and slash top down shooter on a Nintendo game with the differences in that in the things like that.
Okay. Well, that's whole tomato. You're wrong, Alan.
Yeah. So that's why I say tomato. I get the I don't. I don't agree with one of the underlying premises of your statement. So we're not gonna agree. So, not that we would ever agree anyway. But I don't. But yeah, I'm not even gonna
I think we're still on remakes. Do we have anything to say about remakes? Or are we ready to move on?
I think I thought we already got to collections. Or did
No,
we
we
get
haven't gotten to collections. Ben just keeps bringing it up with every example.
Oh, okay.
Collections is actually the last on the list.
Yeah.
So next we have our additional content releases. And I'm just going to say, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, yeah, I got fooled again. I got fooled again and again. And again. I swear, for every single Persona 3 fest that I played the additional stuff, I have a gajillion Final Fantasies with bonus dungeons that I swear I'm going to touch. I never do.
But like I think what it's turned into for me is that I always have to beat the vanilla Persona first.
Mm-hmm.
So then, and since that takes me like almost decades to do, by the time I actually clear it, then I can actually go back to the FES version or whatever.
And that's what happens to me, like in the Final Fantasies, because they always have, when they do an additional content release, it's always like, okay, after the game, you can go to the super dungeon and fight the super boss. I get so pumped up for that as soon as I get through the normal last boss, even though I played it before and I'm doing the additional content, it's like, I don't really want to go to the additional dungeon. And at that point, it's just throwing money away.
Yeah.
Look at like Resident Evil. We touched on it earlier, where Resident Evil 1 was released like multiple times on PlayStation 1. It's like now you can use Rumble and the dual analog sticks. Oh, and then you get the director's cut.
It's kind of like it's with some stuff though. Which is again why the Ninja Gaiden one was so weird to me, because there's a lot of stuff that I'll sit back and I was like, I gotta wait till the dust settles, But and that's what I thought I was doing with, because they called it Sigma for anyway. That's just
now there's a telltale way of knowing if you got like the version that has all the added stuff when you get the Game of the Year edition. Even if it was a game that never won a Game of the Year award.
Mm-hmm.
They just come up with the Game of the Year edition, and it's just like, okay, so what is this? And
well, did Nier, because I think of Nier Automata with that, but I think that got Game of the Year, didn't it? Or maybe it didn't. Nier Automata.
I think what they do is they give, like, there's so many companies doing their They just like so and so magazine called us Game of the Year, so we get to call it Game of the Year edition.
Yeah, I can't argue that.
Yeah. It's like there's no recognized there's no Academy Awards for games. Yeah. There's only different companies who do their shit.
A lot of the additional content is pre-DLC. I mean, that's when you didn't have the option for just buying additional things and
that's the only argument. Well, not the only, but that's probably the primary argument I can have for DLC, because I bought Street Fighter 4 vanilla. I bought Marvel vs. Capcom 3 vanilla. Like I hate it because they got me twice. I hate it that I had to buy a whole nother ass game, and I think they actually let you DLC Arcade Edition, but you still have to get Super Street Fighter. Although what Capcom did do, which was funny, was in the Xbox 360 PS3, you had Street Fighter 4, and then when they released Super Street Fighter, they released that like at a lower price, but it was still like $40, but still. So
I think I prefer DLC over additional content, because then I can decide if I actually want to add it and when I want to add it. And because I know at that point if I want to go on with the game afterwards.
Yeah, and you know what? I was about to sit here and say, like, I'll never, I can't believe I'm sitting here saying I like DLC. But honestly, like, for some, like, if you want to play more of the game, you can enjoy it. Yeah, like, it's good.
It depends on what the pricing's like. Because you get some of this DLC, and it's like, oh, it's $20, and it's like they add, like, a level. Or and an outfit. Or something.
But you're still voting with your dollar at that point. I mean, it's up to you to make the decision.
Yeah, and then like you can't wait for
but it do be feeling like a shakedown sometimes. So I ain't gonna bullshit on that one.
Well, a lot of games they will release the bare minimum of the game because they
that's what pisses me off. Mm-hmm. That's what pisses me off about DLC, where it's like, because like I think we're already here with like digital delivery and stuff like that, but. Mm-hmm. I'm fine with DLC as like, well, I'm not gonna say I'm fine, but I understand DLC as additional content. But some shit, it's like, no, we're releasing DLC to complete the game, and it's like, unless you're on like some early access type stuff, no, I don't play that.
Well, like I'm gonna pick on The Last of Us again. There's that side story where the main or where the girl character, she ends up finding like she ends up making a friend, and I'm not gonna go too far into it, but it's something that in later editions is just included, but it becomes a vital part of her actual character, I guess, in part 2, because I never played part 2. But like, those are certain story beats that maybe they should be included with the game anyways, just because like, even if I don't care for it, it's still part of the overall story.
Yeah. Anything else for additional content?
No, I mean, I feel like that, like, because like we only had like a little bit of time before like DLC, and honestly, like, I'll say I prefer DLC to additional content in most situations.
I actually agree with you on that, which is crazy.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Like,
all right, so collection. Our last one is collections, and I'm going to start out with just saying one sentence that is summing up my feelings on collections. And this goes out to all the game developers that create these nice collections where they take their old games, put it in, add the documentary on how it was made, and add the pre-game artwork and the videos of the voice acting. And that one sentence is, go stuff it.
Are you so? Oh, come on.
I'm sorry. I would rather just go back to the old system. I'll emulate it, and I'll run it at, whatever it is, 700 megs over the bloated 19 gig collection of stuff that I will never listen to I'm never gonna look at pre-game artwork. It's a waste of time for me.
I love the extra stuff. Oh my god, I love concept art. Like, it's the exact same game. Probably running and
through
they
some emulator
give you
with
the stuff on how
bloatware.
they made it.
It's 100% bloatware.
That is all. Like, I mean, like, I draw the line to kind of like soundtracks and stuff like that. But I like, because like that's one of the big reasons I was so, because I forget. No, Power Rangers wasn't .mu. It was what's the Digital Horizons? Is that who did the Power Rangers?
Oh, I don't know who did it. I could take a look if you want me to.
It's not that important, but the most disappointing thing for me with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Brawler, in how it's winning this collection, is that they've done other like collections and stuff like that. And one of the things that really disappointed me is in all of their collections, they put a lot of that extra stuff in there. Like in the Cowabunga collection, I think the Cowabunga collection was them. They put like the map for like the games and stuff like that. Oh my god, I love that stuff.
Because you can't Google that.
Or what you can do is you can pause the game and look at the guide right there and not have to move to another screen.
Or I could just have my tablet on my lap and just look down quick at my tablet and launch to play the game.
Well, I'm poor and all I got is one TV and the computer. Like, I mean, it's just like, you can do that, but I mean, like, and I'm not gonna sit here and act like I wouldn't know game facts and stuff like that, but it's right there. They got the map and shit, and you can scroll. That is something that I genuinely like appreciate. Like, even like I remember the what was it? It was I saw my fiance made me go see. Well, she didn't make me go see it, but she wanted me to see it. Look Back, the anime picture that they did a while back, and they did like the interview with like the director and like the voice actresses. I love that stuff. I love the interviews. That's one of the things I hate about the stream. One of the many things I hate about the streaming era is because like you get the Blu-rays and you get the outtakes, you get like concept art. You know what a collection is? It's you getting suckered into buying
at full price a series of old games with their DLC automatically loaded in. You didn't even realize that.
Hey, bro, you know, did I have fun? Did I enjoy myself? I get suckered a lot, you know. At least they have the goddamn decency, you know, to sweeten the pot a little bit. Make me at least feel like I'm getting, you know.
Now, I get that people benefit from collections because they don't know how to emulate, maybe.
Well, okay, now listen, I'm not gonna argue for, I'm not gonna argue against emulation, first of all. So I'm not even gonna take the moral, no, that is not something that's gonna leave my mouth. But I do like sometimes, you know what, it's like the old console thing where you hit the button and it's there. I ain't gotta, you know, and there's, while I like to do it the other way sometimes too, especially with those, it's nice just to have like the collection on Steam or on like PS and then just go into it. Like there's a serious, and it's all there. And you get extra stuff about it. I'm very big on like expanded material.
Okay.
So Ben, all those collections you brought up, you got to have something to say about this.
Just let me go.
Well, like I said, there's a whole bunch of them on PlayStation. Like
Yeah.
Was it the Tomb Raider collection, the Splinter Cell collection? There's two God of War collections.
Yeah.
Let's see here. There's Ico and the Shadow of Colossus is on a collection. I think because the games have similar the same.
Yeah, I actually have that. I actually have the PS3 physical copy of that.
And there's some of them, there's been reviews where some of them, the collections are better than having the games on PlayStation 2. And then there's I guess Prince of Persia, it plays better on the PlayStation 2 than it does in the PS3 collection. And a lot of this...
Yeah, you will get that. That is.
Yeah, and a lot of this was just because these were games that people were complaining they can't play because it wasn't backwards compatible anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like that, not exactly the same thing, but I group it all under the my experience with the Legend of Dragoon. Some of that stuff, not all of it. And one of the things that I do like, which is why we're getting into more to really blur the lines between remasters and whatever we just said, all the reason stuff, is that I feel like they do a better job of updating now. Whereas before, you had some where we talk about a poor port and stuff like that, the programming difficulties, but I feel like, maybe I'm wrong, that we don't get that as much as we used to.
We got more on this?
I think I'm pretty much done on my feelings here.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go and just grab the screen for a second because I do want to talk about something. If you want to talk about collecting and you got some money burning a hole in your pocket, folks, you can head over to thebmshow.threadless.com right now. 20% off of everything in the store. Just use Get20 as your code. Head over there, buy yourself a t-shirt. We have the new Watch Us Die design that just came out. There's 11 different designs.
Oh dang, y'all legit, y'all got merch.
Oh yeah. And it's t-shirts, you can get hats, you can get stickers, you can
Don't forget the skateboards.
Yes,
okay.
Skateboards. You can get skateboards.
Well, you know.
I forget where those are.
Well, y'all hit all I want is to mention. All right.
Yeah. We got shower curtains and rugs and all kinds of fun stuff. Blankets. Fleece blanket, a Sherpa blanket. I'm not even sure what a Sherpa blanket is. Let's go take a look. What's a Sherpa?
Is that the one with the arms in it, I think?
I don't know.
It looks like a piece of paper to me.
Yeah. And you can get it with all these cool designs on it, including here's the one with the show logo. Apparently you can make these really big. You can pay $100 for this?
Well, then I'm sure that somebody who knows what a Sherpa is might be saying that might be a good deal.
That might be a good deal. I have no idea. I know that these prices are not ridiculous. They're decently priced, and I have no control over the prices. So
go back to that. Go back to it for a second, because I think what we need to point out, what's very important, is that if you scroll down to the bottom, you will see all our models that have already bought T-shirts from us, and how happy their life has become.
Yeah.
Because we can't see any of their faces.
You can go and buy the hat. It's BM show the baseball cap. BM show the coloring book. BM show the flamethrower.
I mean, if I wore baseball caps, I'd consider it.
How cool it looks in black. You can't even like it just fade right in.
Yeah, I would recommend the black. I'd recommend the black.
Yep.
But anyways, I just wanted to throw it in there, and that's a plug. And usually plugs mean we're making it towards the end of the show.
So now we're gonna unplug.
Unplug.
So at this point, I think is there anything anyone else wants to add to anything at all before we call it a night here?
I don't appreciate the Zelda slander, but at least you acknowledge the first one.
All right. So on that note, even though Alan just said that, we're gonna go ahead and give Alan the last word.
The last word.